Welcome, everyone. Happy Monday. Hollywood is still on fire, but movies are in theaters, and there's movie news and lots to discuss. Our Jedi Council of amazing commentators will be with us. I'm a little out of sorts, but I'm back home. So let's talk about it. Buckle up. Versus is here to save your Monday and save my Monday, apparently. So let's get going. Let's start the show. Let's get that Alan guy here too. Hey everybody, how's it going? We survived.
Barely. You singed.
Don't all chime in at once.
Yeah,
We're still here. We're still here. That's a good thing.
I love that. I love that. All right, everybody introduce themselves, starting with Script.
Hey, I'm the Script Doctor, here to give you all your prescriptions for ailing media needs.
Hello, I'm Elaine here at Nerd Cookies on YouTube, where I talk about sci-fi and fantasy news and lore, and glad to be here to chat with you all as always.
What's up, everybody? Derek Anderson, the DA, here to rant about entertainment as usual. Welcome back.
Rob Burnett on loan from the Burnett Work, another channel here on YouTube, and all I do all day, every day is work on this all-consuming audio drama, True Noir, The Assassination of Anton Cermak, which you can get right now at truenoir.co.
Thanks to the air quality of the fires, I am on a lean mixture of cold medication and caffeine, so it's gonna get good.
Alan Ing, editor-in-chief of Film Thread, and I've changed my worst movie of the year and my best animated feature of the year. So we'll talk about that.
I love Alan. We were just texting today. Hey everybody. First of all, I am lucky. I am very lucky. My place, my patio is ash and debris, but totally can clean it up. Nothing wrong. Every time I go on Instagram, it's a new friend that I discover has lost their home.
Yeah.
I know, Rob, I've watched your stream. It is horrifying. I mean, to name some people who are public and they've spoken publicly about it. Chris Jompoulos, who did the Indiana Jones, he did the recreation with Indiana Jones of Raiders of the Lost Ark. You know who he is?
Yeah. When they were kids.
Yep. And his home is gone. It's Tom Stern of the duo Alex Winter and Tom Stern. They co-directed the movie Freaked. His home is gone. On Instagram, he posed with his son in front of the debris, which was his home. And along with Andi Timoner, documentary filmmaker, her and her wife, they have lost their home. So it's horrible. So I feel extremely lucky, a little bit of survivor's guilt. But at the same time, feel very lucky and also angry. If you have followed Justine Bateman on social media, she is, there's no other way to put it. She is on fire.
Yeah.
With her calling out Newsom, Karen Bass, the mayor, and everyone for their failings. I want to hear from you guys. I think half of us are local here, or actually, with the exception of Script, Nerd Cookies, everyone here is local. So I'd like you to chime in with your opinions. Everyone
Justine should run, by the way, for mayor. She sounded very knowledgeable, and I would vote for her.
The most interesting thing that Justine said is that Karen Bass came to speak. She's a member of the DGA. Okay. She came to speak to DGA members at the DGA, and she was unimpressed. She said she was even asking them, do you know who other people who could join my team? She seemed ill-equipped to manage a city as large and as complex as Los Angeles. So yeah, it was Justine. You should follow Justine Bateman, obviously friend of the show. Film Threat is a sponsor of her film festival, which takes place in August. Credo 23
in March. End of March.
yeah, March. Yes, sorry. Thanks, Alan. So
Did
just
you-
your thoughts, everyone across the board.
Chris, did you see Rick Caruso, who was running against her?
Mhm.
What he did, how he brought in tanker trucks of water to protect the Palisades Mall.
Yep.
He paid his own money and had his own people come in to do that.
Yeah, that's dedication. That's someone who loves the city. I mean,
I think that what I was trying to, look, we had a confluence of events that was the worst case scenario all the way around. The problem is we're not planning. We should be always planning for the worst case scenario. We should not assume the worst case scenario is not going to happen. Yeah. And I think that this confluence of events, and I've tried to explain this to people, we had two naturally occurring things. Like normally we're in the rainy season here in LA. It rains usually from November, December to February. And we also have the Santa Ana winds at those times. Those are hot winds that blowing off the desert. Well, this year we had two things. We had the biggest rains we'd ever had in years last year. So we had explosive growth all over the place. And then it all dries up in our hottest summer ever. So any vegetation anywhere in the city has become an accelerant. And then coupled with the fact that we have had no rain in 8 months. And then we get hit with 100-mile-an-hour winds. And it was, there's a photograph, it's a satellite photograph, I think, of everything that was burning at one time. There's not enough water in the world. There's not enough fire retardants. There's nothing you can do when you have 100-mile-an-hour winds fueling a fire across a gigantic landscape. Yeah. And we should have planned for it.
Well, we do have an update. Breaking news here. I'm going to just play this video. I think it speaks for itself. So let's go.
Sir, could you explain the water reservoir situation, why that was emptied? Okay, first off, I am a they, so please refer to me correctly. But yes, we're well aware of the water reservoir situation. Earlier in the summer, streams were rerouted to protect endangered salamanders into the Pacific Ocean so that they didn't have to swim in waters that were too warm for them. We're well aware of that situation. What about this situation with Mexican firefighters coming out? Yes, fire people that are coming from the country of Mexico, yes, are coming to help us with this uncontrollable fire situation. Where's the funding going to come from? We'll probably use money from our unhoused budget to help fund those fire people that are coming.
George played this, thought it was real.
Yeah, this can't be real.
No, this is very fake.
Yeah. Whatever we're doing, we're gonna make sure that it's diverse.
The problem is everything Robert just said.
Yeah,
but also there's DEI hires that didn't refill the 3 fucking 1 million gallon tanks. We could have mitigated some of it. That being said, everything Robert just said is true. It was there's the clip that's going around of the Rogan talking about the firefighter he talked to that said one day it's going to be the perfect mixture of wind, blah blah blah. It's going to burn through right to the ocean. We're not going to be able to do shit.
Right.
But still, it doesn't look good to run out of all the things, and you see the people, and it's a horrible. Everything that could have gone wrong went wrong.
But they should have been ready for this because wildfires are something that happens in California regularly. I mean, hearing a wildfire in California,
forest management
all the time. All the
every
time.
year.
It to me, I equate it to this. It would be like not being prepared for an earthquake. Like we get earthquakes, and maybe we're not going to get that 7.0, but we damn sure better be ready for a 7.0 because we know one day we're going to get hit with a 7.0. I don't think I've ever had a 7.0 in my lifetime. I don't know what I think the biggest was like maybe the Northridge.
I've been through an 8.
Oh wow, shit. Yeah. So to me,
you
got to be ready for the worst. You have to be prepared for the worst because you never know when the worst is going to get here. And if you know this is an inevitability, get ready for it. We should have been over prepared. We should have been cover everything.
Mitigation.
The fact that
mitigation.
Terrible,
there was the forest management. Why were we rerouting water to save a fucking smelt fish or whatever? You know what I'm saying? There's just a lot of little things that could have added to something bigger to help mitigate a horrible thing.
The other thing is that fires need fuel, and often that fuel is dead trees and brush. And you can if you could get rid of half that fuel, you're in a better shape than you are now, and you could.
That's what
The issue is the damage.
Clean the forests. You need to clean your forests.
that's what environmentalists did 4 decades ago. That's what they were out there doing. They were cleaning the brush. That's what they actually knew what the cause and effect would be. But today, they're not thinking about solving problems. They're thinking about, oh, this is going to be our cottage industry for the next little quarter. That's where we're going to get the funding. Because if you wanted to funnel water to California and save the smelt, there's a way to do that. It's not impossible. It's been done in other countries, other states, other counties. They know how to do this stuff, but for some reason California doesn't really rely on problem solving. They just throw money at problems and they go away.
Ironically, that's what the Chautauqua people did in Los Angeles when they I would like to acknowledge the fact that we are on Chautauqua land.
You do a land acknowledgement?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Now, I'm not sure if this is AI or not, but this kind of illustrates a lot of what has been going on.
It also didn't help. She had a smirk on her face, and Gavin had a smirk. It was very reminiscent of the Kamala laugh, giggle.
I think that's a permanent thing. Like, she's got the Joker. She's just got like this permanent smile affixed to her face, and she can't do anything about it. But it doesn't look good at all.
It just seems like a very unserious person. What's this?
I gotta play this. This relates to what you just did.
Over the course of the next several years, Los Angeles will be host to the World Cup, and then the Super Bowl, and then the Olympics. Rebuilding effort needing to take place. Is LA going to be ready for all of those global events?
My humble position, and it's not just being naively optimistic. That only reinforces the imperative moving quickly, doing in the spirit of collaboration and cooperation. President of the United States, Donald Trump, to his credit,
hand movements
helpful in getting the Olympics to the United States of America, to get it down here in LA. We thank him for that. This is an opportunity for him to shine, for this country to shine, for California and this community to shine. The opportunity with all of that and all that opportunity and that pride and spirit that comes from not just hosting those 3 iconic games and venues, but also the opportunity, I think, to rebuild at the same time. And that's why we're already organizing a Marshall Plan. We already have a team of looking and reimagining LA 2.0, and we're making sure everyone's included, not just the folks on the coast, people here that were ravaged by this disaster.
You just said you're organizing a Marshall Plan.
Sorry, just the fact that that this event now allows us to rebuild LA. So
he's talking about redevelopment, which means deposing people that or displacing people that lived in that area anyway, and depriving them of the value of the land that they purchased.
The way he was moving his hands is how ancient people used to use their hands, because you couldn't fucking hear them when they were on the stage. So they would use these series of hand movements that like meant something. That's what he was really acting out that scene.
Yeah. Now there's a clear path to Pepperdine, where you can have many events, swimming events for the Olympics, and there you go.
Dante is here. Hey, Dante.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
How's it going, guys? How are you doing? And just if you give us your update.
Well, I can finally breathe again. I mean, that's kind of cool. No, you know what? Honestly, man, it's. I guess we should be used to these fires by now. I mean, it's California, but surprisingly, not. You know, our leadership still doesn't understand how to handle these things, which is weird to me, considering we have a fire every year. You know, like houses burn every year, but yet we don't know how to handle it. We're not prepared for this kind of emergency. I'm like, okay, you know, there's 2 things California is known for. Well, many things, but mainly 2: earthquakes and fires. We should be prepared for these things.
Yeah, it was.
We should be the experts on both. We should be
On
the
both.
experts on
Yeah.
like fighting
I
fires across the world. Everybody should be coming to us to figure out, hey, how do we fight fires and forest fires and all that? Because you guys seem to get them a lot. You probably have all the details and the data and the insight and the expertise on how to fight these things. Yeah, that's what everybody should be doing. And it's just ridiculous that we're dropping the ball all the time when it comes
See
to
the Mexican firefighters?
Yeah, we got to go get
military
firefighters from other places. It's ridiculous, man.
Thank you, by the way.
Yeah, and honestly, you know, I feel grateful because obviously, you know, I'm still alive. I didn't lose anything in the fire because the fires never reached downtown LA. So I'm grateful for that. But you know, I do have friends. I have like 4 friends who lost their homes. You know, and these aren't rich. These aren't rich people, right? These aren't the wealthy people. These are people who are just regular people who live in the city of Altadena, which, if you guys know, Altadena is almost like the hood of Pasadena. Okay, it's not. It's not no,
Yeah,
you know what I'm talking about, Chris.
I did a story about that on my channel because there were families that were redlined back in the day, and they, there was one woman, I heard her on Larry Mantle on Air Talk, a woman whose family was the first family to have a black family to have a house on the other side of Lake, the red line, because Lake was redlined, and they had that house built in 85. Now, and so many, Chris, in Altadena, you go up above Pasadena in the hills. We lived there for 7 years, and there was all of these mom and pop businesses there. And, to be clear, all of those people were very hardworking, and the first responders there have been doing an incredible job fighting this fire. I mean, that I want to make sure that people know that our first responders those people are exhausted, and no one plans for an urban fire of this magnitude. We don't even have an infrastructure to support fighting an urban fire of this magnitude, as much as they want to say that there is. And especially like where I live here, one of the real problems too is that we still have power lines that are above ground.
Mm-hmm.
And like we had a crash, a woman crashed into one of the support poles right down the street. Where I live is it's in what's called the red flag zone. And we had a big fire here last September that burns up toward Lake Arrowhead. And it's really treacherous, but a lot of the problems that we have here are our old infrastructure. Yeah. And you saw transformers blowing up. You saw sparking, causing foliage to catch on fire. All of that stuff here should be all underground. And we've never taken the time or paid the money to do that.
Well, a couple things I want to get out there is, one, climate change, I think is debatable. I'll just say that it's debatable, but climate change cannot be the excuse for politicians to not prep. And the silver lining after all this is, I think that Gavin Newsom's national political aspirations are dead. Here is a statement. This is just out.
Hi, my name is Gavin Newsom, and I just wanted to let you know that I'm the useless piece of shit responsible for your home burning down. So just keep giving me your insanely high taxes and keep voting Democrat so I can keep burning this motherfucking place to the ground. Thank you. Hi, my name is...
it's AI because he's only using one hand to talk.
Right. Yeah. Hey, Gary, what's up? No, so that's maybe a good thing, because I have seen, and I know you have, Rob, as well. You moved to LA around the same time I did, late 80s.
Yeah, I moved in 88.
I was here 89. 89. I was here and discovered Comic-Con, and that's where you and I met in the 90s. And in any case, I love this city. I've seen it get better. I saw the metro get built, and I love taking the metro.
Me too. And you've also seen the riots. You've seen the Northridge quake when the 10s freeway fell down to Fairfax.
Yeah, it's I've seen good times and bad. The Northridge quake was crazy.
That was brutal.
I was in middle of LA. I lived off Melrose at the time. So I've seen good times and bad. I love the people of LA. I actually, you know what? I'll even say I love the diversity in terms of food and culture. Koreatown, you go to so many different places in LA, Alvaro Street. Like, there's so much great culture here, right? But
everywhere. You can find every nationality, every cuisine from around the planet in Los Angeles.
And if you're a cinema fan, it's incredible. I'm a member of the Academy Museum. I love it. Free screenings and preserving film history. I love all these things. I
think we all love LA. I think we all just hate what LA's become, man. I mean, let's be real here.
No, you're right.
Gavin Newsom has destroyed California. Destroyed it. Like, I'm not even being hyperbolic here. He's destroyed this fucking, I'm sorry. He's destroyed this state. You know what I mean? We have never been in worse shape than since Gavin Newsom's been in charge. Right? And people need to say it. They need to say it out loud. And he needs to lose his job. He needs to resign, man. Him, Karen Bass, all of them just need to go. And it's not about politics. It's about the fact that, hey, if you're bad at your job, you shouldn't have your job anymore.
Well, I mean, it begins. Look at the homeless problem that has exploded in San Diego, LA, and especially San Francisco over the last 15 years.
Sure, disappeared when he wanted it to. When Xi Jinping came about,
well, it's just insane. They haven't stopped any of these underlying problems. One of the biggest problems about living in California is that the taxpayers will pass low-income housing. Will allow for billions of dollars to be put aside for low-income housing. But then each one of those low-income housing units costs $800,000 to build because everybody's getting a taste. All the politics and the bureaucracy. When you're doing low-income housing, that means everybody pulls together and you don't make your rate. You're making low-income housing for homeless people. And we're not taking care of our addicts. We're not taking care of mentally ill people because none of that turns a profit. And so all of these things, infrastructure, yeah, I'm sure people can make money on it, but our infrastructure needs to be completely revamped. And that's what the taxpayers are paying for. And things don't happen. They don't, it takes 10 years to have an environmental impact statement. That is,
but you know where the money is going? It's going to these nonprofits, these quote unquote nonprofits that are supposed to be taking care of these matters. And all of these nonprofit agencies, they're getting all the money, but they're not doing anything. And that's the
right.
big scam in all of this. They're not doing anything, but yet our tax money and our tax dollars are going to put it into the pockets of these nonprofit assholes who don't do shit. I have homeless people all over it, up and down the streets of Carson that were never here before. They all landed here during the pandemic. Mm-hmm. And we're just going to put them here temporarily in these hotels, and then we'll move them out afterwards, and they'll find places, this, that, and the third. They're not moving these people out. Now we have homeless encampments where we didn't have them before. They're just spreading the homeless people around. That's all they're doing.
And they're everywhere.
They're everywhere. They're everywhere. And but yet, where's the billions upon billions upon billions? Like, what have you been putting this money towards? Nothing. But into the pockets of these nonprofits. That's the scam. And Gavin Newsom and all of these California Democrats, they're the ones that behind all of it. All right. So yeah, absolutely. Every last one of them needs to be fired, and they honestly need to be investigated.
We need to bring back mental institutions. And by that, I mean for all the schizos.
Another Newsom keeps popping up.
Palisades are burning bright, organ trucks nowhere inside, budget cuts, hydrants trying to water in supply. Hearst fire, Kenneth fire, Eaton fire, please retire, climate change, Trump's deranged, the LA fires are not contained. Burn, baby, burn! Karen Bass is on the scene, rejecting almost everything. Smelt fish, droughts and wind, this is all Trump's fault again. Transgenders fighting fires, DEI, that's not satire. Forest dry, flames are high, California say goodbye. I didn't start the fire.
Jesus.
No, I didn't light it and refused to fight it. I didn't start the fire. That's misinformation, get an education.
All right.
One thing for sure is the internet never fails.
That might be fake. Great. That might be fake. I can't tell.
This is why Justine hates AI.
Look, I gotta.
She hates it for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
I mean,
this is the good use of AI.
I didn't know where things were going. I was down. I was at my aunt's place. Stayed with my aunt and cousin this weekend in Orange County. It was very quiet. It was very quiet and calm. But look, this will not get better until somehow people wake up and vote differently. And I'm not going to sit here and tell you I'm a right-wing Republican forever. I'm not. I'm very independent, voting both sides. I look at policy, not personality. But I can tell you, Newsom has been the worst governor since I've been here. And and Bass, I knew she was terrible. I'm a nerd sometime when it comes to politics. Try to keep it out of the show, but it leaks in. I watched the debate between Karen Bass and Rick Caruso and other candidates. She was terrible. She gave terrible answers. Rick Caruso, a pragmatist, common sense, business person, knew what he was talking about. Bass, I just looked and she just wasn't qualified. And I couldn't believe she got elected. And it was another one of those, like, it looked like he was going to win. And the next morning, miraculously,
ballot
showed up. Yeah.
Weird. Right?
Weird.
And even the rules, California may never change. When I went to vote in the recent election, I said, "You want to see my ID?" No, they really didn't even want to see it. They were, and I said, "I don't get to like give you my ID." They just gave me a thing and I voted. It felt weird. So all I'm saying is nothing will change unless people wake up. It's sad that it comes to this. And 3 years from now, 3 years in 2028, Olympics are here. Will we be ready? And how are the people who lost their homes, your friends, Dante, my friends, all of our friends, how are they going to recover?
We haven't even talked about the fact that the insurance companies are basically bailing out on these people and not giving them their claims. So it's all messed up, and it's all, again, you have to start at the top, man. Gavin Newsom is the reason why these insurance companies left California, and now, if my friends are going to get any money for their houses, I guess they have to take legal action, but they don't have the money for that because they have to house their families in a new place. So I mean, it's kind of messed up all around.
Yeah.
Not only that, I mean, the Palisades, people don't, if you don't know the geography in LA, the Palisades was one of the best places in Los Angeles. The drive from, if you get off at Sunset Boulevard on the 405 and you drive down to the ocean, you go onto PCH and you hang a right and go into Malibu. I mean, when people think Southern California, it defined Southern California and all that beachfront. When I first lived here, I lived in West LA, and I spent a lot of time at the beach, various beaches, and love the community down there. And some of the people that lived in the houses in the Palisades, those houses were 70, 80, 100 years old, and they were multi-generational because family members would hand those. I know because my uncle's house was there, and I mean, he passed away in 2008. But that he raised 4 kids there, and it was a multi-generational place. And when you buy a house in LA, your property taxes get locked in at what you paid for when you bought your house. So a lot of those homes, do you think the city or the state's not going to suddenly jack up the property taxes enormously? It's not just going to be getting your money back on your home if you can, but then they're going to come in and they're going to say, nope, you don't get to keep, you want to build a new house here, your property taxes change.
Well, red pill people.
And I already heard that the snakes are already sniffing, man. Like they're offering people like basically half of what their property is worth right now, just so that they have some kind of money. And the fact that they're even legally able to do that is ridiculous.
Yeah, and these are investors, real estate investors. They're not people. They're not family.
Right.
Well, I mean, that and that it's too bad because that whole section was one of the most beautiful parts of the entire city, and it's completely gone.
Yeah,
man.
All right.
I mean, we haven't even talked about though the damage that the smoke has done to like the people, like to our lungs, man. Like honestly, that smoke was very weird for me. It was very different. Like I've been around fires many times because we live in LA. I have never had trouble breathing the way I did this past week. Like
I gotta post
chemicals. I had a headache.
Anakin thing going. It's not good. I don't know what.
It's not good, man. Like I had migraines. My chest was killing me. Like I went to the doctor because I thought I was having heart palpitations, but the smoke from the fires are
because it's full of lead. It's full of asbestos. It's full of all these homes that burned are older homes. Right. All kinds of things. We've lost historical buildings. I mean, it's and the amount of particulate, I can't even imagine what everybody's been breathing in for
historical carcinogens. So that's fun.
Yeah.
Let's go to comments here, and then we will do box office, and I have some news stories. And Elaine, I got a news story perfect for you. I promise. So let's go here, if you would, Badger.
PHI28. Oh, became a member. Shout out PHI28. David Smart, member for 10 months. Hope you are safe, Chris Gore. And Den of Thieves sucked. I'm assuming he's talking about the sequel that just
it's Den of Thieves 2 was terrible. Yeah.
Really? Damn, I was kind of looking forward to it. HZ for 5. Chris, why were you and Gary shitting on Ghana? We didn't ask your mayor to come to our country. Don't blame us. Yeah, happy to send her back to you.
That's a West Ghana accent.
Out your mouth.
Sorry about that, HZ. It was more about Karen Bass. I don't think we disparaged the country. Just why was our mayor there?
It's a lovely place.
I just think for myself, get your own house in order before you aspire to something greater within the federal government. If you're Karen Bass, if I was in her shoes, I wouldn't step outside the city until it was fixed, until the homeless problem fixed. And there's a lot of evidence that part of this was the fires were set by arsonists.
Yeah.
I see
Also,
fires all the time. You can't drive through LA without seeing a dumpster, an actual dumpster fire. So
they caught some dude with a blowtorch. They caught him.
I saw that.
Yeah.
They're also saying that the Palisades fire might have been, a new article in the LA Times says it might have been
arson,
human origins.
Spidey Sensei 72 here for 5. On 60 Minutes, they interviewed a fireman. He said LA would have needed about 29 fire trucks to combat these firestorms. You guys never had a chance.
No, actually, we have 100 fire trucks in a lot not being worked on or repaired
because they don't have the money to fix the fire truck sitting in the lot.
Which is ridiculous because, like, up here in Canada, Toronto has like over 180 operational fire trucks, and our city is nowhere near as large as LA.
It's Godzilla minus one thing. We don't know how to efficiency of money and people and time. Mexican Iron Man for 5. FYI, last year, me and Rob were at our annual Anglo-Mexican Scotch and steak dinner, and we were approached by a transgender firefighter. Hashtag true story.
By the way, that is
flirt with you?
That is absolutely true. And we were forest fire firefighter, and was talking about the different discrimination and things that they felt. It was actually kind of interesting, but that is a true story.
Well, I hope they were buff and strong and able to lift a manly man out of a fire. I really don't care who people are, if they're qualified.
As long as you could pass the test that we did not lower specifically so people could, Dragon Warrior for 5. When do you think, 5 months rather, when do you think they will see something from the Brave and the Bold movie? Oh, Jesus, years. Also, what do you think about the idea of a Marvel animated universe?
I think an MAU would be great. I think, who knows with Brave and the Bold? It's up in the air.
It's all about leadership. It's all about leadership. Yeah. Who's in charge, and do they have the vision to pull it off?
Marvel had a good chance at having an animated universe with Avengers: Earth's Mightiest Heroes. That was a fantastic series that got canceled when Disney kind of took a little bit more reins.
Yeah.
Thank you for that.
Torgo, the white member for 10 months. Remove your fire load or it will remove itself. Lord Comet for 2. There's no need to fear. Comet is here.
Hey, thanks, Comet.
Lord Comet again for 2. I still think AI is going to turn into porn Well, yes.
Oh, yeah.
But also, Jim Watari gifted 10 Film Threat membership. Shout out, Jim.
Thank you for that.
Watari.
Dr. Fauci's rancid prison, but for 5. Don't worry, folks. Today, Newsom widely decided to spend $50 million of taxpayer money on Trump-proofing California. Who needs enemies with friends like this?
It's that kind of obstructionist attitude that I hate. Stop, just, fight the fights on policy. Fight the fights on policy. That's good. That's healthy. But to be obstructionist and get nothing done, I think that's what the American people are sick of. And it used to be on the right, they would block everything. Just how about discuss the issues and come to the best decision? A lot of the issues most issues are not left and right issues. We agree on more than we disagree, I believe, but I'm a glass half full guy.
Right, but you can't let the other side get a win. That's the problem.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Well, that is the problem. And the thing is, we have real issues that we have to solve. And, Chris, I always joke about how we need a good feature film line producer, because nobody solves a problem faster than a production crew on a movie, because time is money. And they know that every second on a film, when you're on a shoot day, every second has a dollar value associated with it. Literally. Every second has $1, and you can calculate what that is. And usually every second costs something like $20. $20 just went out the window. And there's another 20 and another 20. And the why we don't take that same approach to solving problems, I will never understand. Film crews should run the world.
We never hold them accountable.
Sorry about that.
For whatever reason, just let them go wild.
Yeah, everything's cool. My power will be out tomorrow, but I have notice. So
okay.
Yay.
Tuesday, so good.
Let's switch gears here and talk about the box office, the weekend box office. There is an angle to this that I want to discuss. and that is our first blockbuster. I have seen a movie. We got Den of Thieves at the top with 15 million. Den of Thieves 2, Mufasa, still making money, 13.2 million. Sonic the Hedgehog 3, not far behind with 11.3. Nosferatu 6.8 this weekend. Total gross 81 million. That's the biggest Robert Eggers movie. Good for him. Moana 2 made some more money. There we go. Still in the, rounding out the top 10. We got Wicked, 5 million. A Complete Unknown with 5 million as well. Baby Girl with 3 million. Game Changer at 2 million. The Last Showgirl 1.5 million in its debut, but not even in the top 10. If you would scroll lower, Alan.
Yeah, I think I know what movie you're talking about. Is it that one?
Is a movie called Better Man. Directed, it's from the director of the movie
The Greatest Showman.
Greatest Showman, which is a great film with Hugh Jackman musical. Better Man, I've seen 3 times on the big screen.
I'm about to see it a 5th time, by the way.
It's really good. There's a sequence you on your X account, Alan, you tweeted about it. This music video in the middle of the movie that is in like you've never seen before ever put to screen. It's so epic, right? And I love the film. I don't know who Robbie Williams is. Don't care. You know,
Don't know who Take That is either.
I don't know who I wasn't ever into boy bands, but I am a fan now. It's a story not just about a typical, we've seen this movie before, the rise and fall of a biopic of a musician, right? Deals with drugs, women, all that is in there, but told in a way that is very different. He's portrayed as a monkey, and it's about, I think the 2 things that really resonate: the father-son relationship, the dysfunctional father-son relationship, which comes to a heartbreaking conclusion in the end, and the dealing literally with the demons from drugs and alcohol, which are portrayed literally in a couple of scenes. I actually even recommended this movie to Gary Nerdrotic. I said, you got to see this film. We'll see how he reacts. But I really love the movie. And you said you're seeing it a 5th time. It costs, I did not know this. It's, first of all, by the way, it's an indie movie, independently produced movie, made for $110 million. It will be the biggest flop this year. Paramount paid $25 million for it, okay, for the U.S. domestic rights. And I'm telling you, it's a really good film. Was it the marketing? I thought the trailers were terrible.
I think it's the gimmick. I think the gimmick turned people off. That's the thing I talk to most people about is
no one knows who he is, and they don't get the monkey thing.
Why am I watching this?
Weirds people out.
Yeah, well, does it serve a narrative purpose, or for him to be a monkey?
It weirdly works. I was scouring YouTube yesterday for reviews of this movie. I could not find a single movie reviewer that did not like this movie. They all admitted up front that they were leery of the gimmick, but once they start watching the movie, that it became a very touching movie. The music is fantastic. I cannot recommend this movie enough, and it saddens me to see it perform like this. Because this is really bad. I believe it's 10 million worldwide so far, which is really bad.
They did do a horrible job of marketing this. They could have.
Yes.
They could have.
Did they market it? I didn't even remember.
Yeah, they did. I don't think they did a horrible job. And the thing about Robbie Williams is he had a lot of great singles hits on his own as well.
Right.
A song called Angels. There was a song Millennium, and he, there was a lot of. I mean, you've heard his music, you've heard his singles. You probably just didn't know that they were his. But in the UK, he's a huge star.
He's around the world, everywhere except America. He's a huge star.
Oh,
the music.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, I saw this movie with Screen Unseen, AMC Screen Unseen. I saw it whenever it came out on Monday, a couple of Mondays back, and I had no idea what this movie was. I walked into it absolutely blind. And generally speaking, this is not a movie I would go out and watch on my own. Like if I saw it and I knew what it was. Honestly, I thought it was some sort of a fictional story about a monkey, somebody trained to become a singer and, had a career. I literally thought that's what it was that I was going to be watching. Because I saw the trailers. I think I saw once when we went out to watch, I think it was like Craven. I think we saw this trailer for this at Craven or whatever. But anyway, I love this movie. I absolutely love this movie. And after I got out of Screen Unseen and I came home, I did a full deep dive into this guy's career. I was Googling everything on him, watching all of his videos, watching interviews.
Watch his appearance on Graham Norton, where he talks about the maid doing fun things to him at a castle. It's a very endearing story.
I had no idea who he was, and now I'm very interested in his life story. And, everything that happens in the movie is just amazing. Again, this is not a movie I normally would watch. But I'm so glad I did because this was incredible. This was absolutely incredible. So I'm sad to see that it's not doing well either. I know people are roasting this thing. It went viral because everybody was asking the question, like, why did they make this movie? Nobody knows who Robbie Williams is. But I mean, I think this is a movie worth making and worth watching. And I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the hell out of it.
Yeah, I mean, the whole monkey thing just turns the biopic genre on its head. And you think, I think the best thing they did with it was not acknowledge it. He's just a monkey. Because
he said that's how he saw himself. Like Robbie Williams says, that's how he sees himself as a dancing monkey or whatever. So that's why he
or not as evolved as everyone else.
Or not as evolved as well,
Plus a monkey doing cocaine is fun.
He became famous when he was 15, and maturity-wise, he's basically 15. But it works. What's weird about it is it works. And the more I see it, the more I notice it's just, it has the dealing with drug addiction and his estranged father. All these issues it's in many ways, it's wildly entertaining and very dark parts of it. But
it's a rated R movie. It's a rated R movie.
For sure.
Yeah, there's a lot of emotional moments too that really tug at you with the grandmother and everything. It's like,
the grandmother and eating chips. Like there are just so many quiet.
Yeah, he licks the salt off the chip and then eats the chip.
And it's just, but it's heartbreaking. So if you have not seen it, go see it. Really,
it's probably not going to be in theaters much longer.
I'm sorry, you need to see it this week in the theater.
It'll be gone. Right? It'll be gone.
Yeah.
But a strong recommendation for those who haven't seen it. And it's very sad to see it go this way. So,
well, is the CGI monkey thing the reason why it costs so much? Or
I don't
think the whole.
Look, Weta did the CG.
Yeah.
So they're not they're really good and they're really expensive.
Yeah, but it's what's weird is the more you just they don't ever acknowledge it. All right, so more fun stories. This is some positive stories from Dune Info on X. According to the Budapest Reporter, Dune Messiah will begin filming in Budapest, Hungary in September 2025 for release in December 2026. Note these dates are unconfirmed, so take it with a pinch of salt. So,
Spice.
Spice.
Spice. What did I say? Oh my God.
How did you miss that?
Screw that up. How did I screw it up? Forgive me.
I really hope they call it Dune Messiah. I don't want them to call it Dune Part 3.
Well, it was supposed to Dune Part 1, Part 2, they were supposed to have names.
It was going to be Dune. It started out as Dune it was going to be
I remember it was like
it was they named it the first part was I don't remember, but it was Prophet something in Messiah.
Yeah, it was Prophet was I think the second one.
Yeah.
So but they all were supposed to have names. I don't like the part 1, 2, 3 thing. I think it's lazy, but anyways.
I don't think they would do that. I think that's just fan made stuff. I'm sure it would be Dune Messiah.
Yeah. But I for one, I just want to see guild navigators. We know that guild navigator, the guild is a spacing guild. It's a big part of Dune Messiah. Will they make it into this? I would like to see. I don't know. And on the heels of what was a disappointment, Dune Prophecy, I for one am excited. I'm really curious because I've actually been to Q&As with Denis Villeneuve. He's talked about part 3. I talked to Jonathan Spates about it too. I went to a
that seems like it would be a disaster to do that.
Well, I'm concerned. The stuff with Chani, I know, Elaine, we're all concerned. Here's the thing. It's, I feel like I have this every time I meet Denis, I can ask one question and then off, here's the problem. You're trying to vilify Paul Atreides because he's they're trying to make him the person who is the root of evil. Power corrupts, right? But it's Timothée Chalamet. He's good looking and likable. Once you cast him, that's tough to do. So I wonder if there's a moment in the film in Messiah, because there is an opportunity, he would be horribly disfigured. I don't know. I just like to hear your thoughts, Elaine, and kind of give you some fodder maybe for more videos that I will watch. So I'm being very selfish here.
Well, he did it. Yeah, I do wonder at times whether I know what his intent and how he wanted to portray the core theme of Frank Herbert's Dune saga when it comes to charismatic leaders and the mistakes of those that are amplified by the number who follow them without question. And that was the theme, to ask questions and to not just blindly trust these people that can have that hold on you. But I don't know if I see the seeds of it in the films, but I don't know if it really came across as strongly as he had wanted in the 2 films, because you see people pushing him to accept the Messiah figure, the legacy of it. You see Gurney Halleck doing it, his mother, Lady Jessica, Stilgar, all these ones trying to push him to go south and to embrace his destiny. He never really seems like he's that one that wants to do it. He's like battling it at every turn.
But that's accurate to the book. Like, my reading of it is Paul Atreides saw the potential future version of himself and wanted to do things to avoid being the worst version. He still was awful, but it was less awful. Is that I try to explain it. It's like Darth Vader. It's like Anakin Skywalker seeing the future version of himself as Darth Vader. How does he undo that fate? And that's what I saw. And I don't think Denis, he's not exploring that. It makes it much more nuanced and makes Paul a more sympathetic figure.
Yeah, well, and I agree with you because I feel like that is what's in the book when it comes to his story. And I think that he wanted to kind of get ahead of Frank Herbert, so to speak, by making the changes to Chani so that you could see from her point of view what this was leading to. But the story does follow, when it comes to Paul's arc, like pretty closely to that, because in the book he sees the jihad, he sees the Fremen going to war in his name, and he's trying to avoid it at every turn. But at one point he sees that he just can't avoid it. Even if he were to have died, it would have happened anyways. In fact, it probably would have been worse because he would have been a martyr. So that's why I'm wondering, like, how he, I think, views the changes to Chani. I don't think had the intent that, I don't think people saw it as that, because the story, we still root for Paul because he's taking down the Harkonnens. He's taking down these corrupt institutions for all the bad things that they did. We still root for him. And again, we see him being pushed to accept his legacy, the mantle of Muad'Dib or Mahdi. And so it will be interesting to see how it morphs into Dune Messiah, because that was the one, and even Frank Herbert's son Brian says this, that it's actually Dune Messiah that was the most misunderstood book of his father's, because that's when that's when the theme was like truly driven home. There were seeds of it in the first book of, that the planet was afflicted by a hero and several passages like that, but that's when it was really driven home that all of the mistakes that were compounded from his leadership, what it led to, the death and destruction, and it, so that's when he kind of has that little bit of misunderstanding when it comes to the reader's misconception. And it wasn't because of Dune that they were like thrown off. It was Dune Messiah. That's the one that brought the hero low, in the reader's eyes. So, but that's the intent from the beginning, was Frank Herbert, the way he wrote it.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to all your videos on it. I think part of the problem is going to be Timothée Chalamet, and the way Paul is portrayed is very sympathetic. In part one, you see the tragedy, you see what he lost, and you want him to get revenge, right? So I think it's going to be really tough to pull off.
Yeah, at this point, they have to make Chani coming back to him make sense. That's like the one thing that I have the most issue with
100%.
as far as how they portrayed her. The way they put her in the film, it doesn't make sense for that character to just be okay. Because they even said it in the part 2, she'll come around. I've seen it. Yeah. And the way they wrote her is just in that last shot of Dune part 2. It's hard to see how she'd get there. I don't know. But we'll see. He's still writing the script, actually. So I do wonder if if they are truly going to stick to that December 2026 release date, because as far as the last I've heard, he's still working on the script. So
yeah, we'll see how they portray Aaliyah too. With I just we'll see.
Aaliyah, justice for Aaliyah. I hope that works out for her.
Is she gonna be 12? I mean, I don't know. Like
Anya Taylor-Joy will still. He says she's still going to be used in that, Anya Taylor-Joy. So
do you put her face on a young girl's body? It's going to be there. There are some challenges.
I think we're going to have a time jump.
The time.
He made it seem like there was a time jump.
How he messed with time, I don't agree with. I think he should. And maybe
it's already fiddled with time. So
the first book could have been 3 movies, and I would have been okay with that. And Rob, you were going to say something. Sorry.
No, I just think that, it's interesting. I'm a big admirer of Villeneuve's filmmaking, but the thing about Dune, that they're extraordinary achievements, and my favorite word, verisimilitude, and all of that. But what I miss from those is the scenes between people. I've said it before, the scenes are so truncated, and Villeneuve himself has talked about his disdain of dialogue. And you don't really get a sense, there's not enough character in those movies. And I as much as I really enjoy them, I wish that you could connect with them. They're more like tone poems than they are movies. And they're beautiful to look at, and they sound incredible. I mean, they probably have the best sound mix of all time. I just wish we could get more into the human story of it all.
That's asking a lot from a French Canadian, though. Just throwing it out there. It's an inside joke, but no, I completely empathize with you, because there's such a rich history within the universe of Dune, especially with Paul Atreides' story, that you're expecting, we're probably going to get a nice little, nice little sample of this. I mean, when I read the initial script of it a few years before it came out, I was like, this actually has a lot of potential, but they ended up changing, a significant portion of that and
they truncated it. I mean, I read the script too. I mean, it began with Duncan Idaho diving into the atmosphere of Arrakis to go meet the Fremen in the deep desert. He did like a skydive.
Yeah, with the suspensors. It was really cool, visually descriptive.
And a lot of that was gone because he removed all that and made it more visual, which I can understand. But I really love that script. Of course, I loved a lot of what John Space writes before it gets changed.
Well, and dialogue is so important. I get that that's Denis' style, and there's a lot of scenes that are very powerful in their imagery when it comes to those films.
Yeah.
But then there are scenes that just you need to have that dialogue, and because that's so important to the story. Like, fear is the mind killer. The whole litany against fear. You have these dialogue that is so powerful and so integral to the character's story. And especially with Dune Messiah is not action heavy, like, at all. It's definitely more political intrigue and drama, scheming, and a lot of dialogue of characters talking to each other. So there's like one big action set piece, and if they inject more of the, I don't know, action in some places, maybe during, looking at Muad'Dib's jihad before, but yeah, the story though itself, the source material, it's a lot of talking, but also like really good character development in in that dialogue. So hopefully he'll embrace that. I hope he'll get Eric Roth on board again, because I missed him he wasn't there for Dune Part 2 for the script. So I don't know. I would like to get him back on board.
Well, switching gears, we need a little palate cleanser. I know a lot of our audience isn't exactly in LA, seeing how it affects a lot of us on the stream, but a recent video resurfaced that I want to share with you guys. And I think this is fun to see because many of us here on the show have been around fandom a long time. I've been a fan my whole life. And this video from 1983 in San Diego at the first screenings of Return of the Jedi, I just want to show it and see where the conversation goes. So here we go. 2 minutes. It's a news report.
For the hundreds of people who turned up for the long-awaited premiere, it was a case of getting a lot less than they had paid for.
We went in, saw about 45 minutes, maybe an hour's worth of the film, and then
headband work.
All other different reel with about.
I gotta say, I like her in Mad Max. I thought she was great.
Really good.
I thought she
also
was really
good in
good.
Farscape.
The fashions are hard not to notice. Anyways, continuing on, you gotta hear what she says.
We had to be about 45 minutes missing from the movie, and everybody started griping and throwing stuff, and so we all got up and walked out.
The problem, it seems, was that reel 4 out of the 8-reel movie was missing. Theater management blamed it on 20th Century Fox, which had promised to have the reel down in time.
We knew that when it started, and on their assurance that we'd have it in time, we went ahead with our show, knowing full well that in the event that film didn't get here, we were going to have to give back the money or to give them a chance to come in to see the picture at another date of their choice.
Well, choice or not, the crowd was not pleased.
It's stupid that we had to go in there and then they don't do nothing about telling us that let's get the whole film part. I mean, that is really rotten.
It's amateurish and unprofessional.
In the meantime, theater managers were concerned about the next performance of the film. Would 20th Century Fox fail the theater yet a second time?
Now we're coming up to the next performance, and I still haven't seen the film. So that's all we can do is wait.
Then, through the parking lot, under police escort, moments before the second scheduled screening, the arrival of the Jedi. The crowd was now pleased. All in all, a rather inauspicious debut for a movie theater which opened its doors just today. Lorraine Kimmel, News 8.
See, there were girl Star Wars fans.
I thought that was she could carry a gun. She brought a gun in. Anyways,
I have to say this. It took me. I stood in line for 6 hours to see Return of the Jedi, and if Reel 3 was missing, I would have been sorely pissed.
Call the cops. Police escort.
First of all, I think it's great to see fandom then, people having fun. Obviously, it was a happy ending. They got the reel, but I can't imagine it switched to a different movie. They had spliced it together. I mean, how ridiculous. Anyways, I love seeing fandom back then because look at that community, all united. They're all loving Star Wars. I just want to share that with you, something positive out of today. So
I hope they spliced it in with Porky's.
What's that?
Hope they spliced it in with Porky's.
That would be bad.
The children.
Yeah. I have another thing to share. Any other thoughts on that we just saw?
No, man. The olden days.
The good old days. Loved it, man.
The good old days
of standing around and waiting for a movie to start in the lines. That was half the fun. That was half the fun.
That was half the fun. You know how you would make friends? You'd meet people from all over. Part of the you pick your seat, it's reserved, you show up. I miss waiting in line for movies. It really was part of the whole experience.
Yeah, it was.
It was
especially a big movie like that where you had to get there like 2 hours, 3 hours before, just to stand in line and wait because you just kind of, hey, we're going to go watch the 5 o'clock showing. We would get there at 1 o'clock. And and then we're there for 4 hours. We get our spot in line because there was already a line probably forming, and then you just wait in line and you just hang out until the movie starts. And everybody's got their money to buy a ticket, and I mean that was great, man.
That was my experience. That was my experience because there was only one theater in Torrance, Palos Verdes, Redondo Beach area that showed Return of the Jedi. One theater, and so we had to stand in line and we had to stand in line and let 2 screenings of Return of the Jedi pass before we could actually get into the theater and see it.
Was that at the Old Town Mall?
No, it was at it was the old theater next to the South Bay Galleria.
Okay, I know what you're talking
Remember
about.
the General Cinemas? Yeah.
Yeah. No, I saw Empire and Return of the Jedi at the Old Town Mall. And that was, great memories from that mall. Had a big merry-go-round in there. We always used to love going there, but it was an event because I always say this story, like when I saw Empire for the first time, it got spoiled for me because of what you're saying. We had to stand in line and wait for other people to come out of that theater to go in. So we were waiting in line while other people were in the theaters. And then as I'm as the next showing let out, I saw friends of mine that I knew from school that were getting out, and they recognized me, and they were like, "Hey, what's up, Derek?" And they run up to me, and they spoil Empire Strikes Back. They literally told me, Darth Vader, he
like
cuts
The
off Luke's
Simpsons.
hand, and they freeze Han Solo. Everybody in the line absolutely went ballistic. But that's the kind of stuff that you had to deal with when you had, one theater, and then everybody's going to see one movie. You never knew who you're going to run into.
Hey, by the way, you're gonna like the Den of Thieves because O'Shea Jackson's character grew up in Torrance, and they talk about the Del Amo Mall and all.
Yeah.
By the way, thanks for the people joining us from Beardo. We got a Beardo raid. But yeah, no, I saw Return of the Jedi at the Americana Theater on 9 Mile and Southfield Road in Michigan, outside of Detroit. I was on the cover of the Daily Tribune that took a photo of everyone in line. I was one of the people in line with my then high school girlfriend, Alex, and it was a blast. It was a blast. And I feel like Rob, though, I didn't love Return of the Jedi like everybody. I was like, like the first half, I got some problems. But we won't get into that. I have
only 2 great Star Wars movies. Sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
Well, that's true.
I have a surprise.
No problem quoting you.
I have a surprise topic for our last. It'll be our last topic of the day, but let's do the supers right now. But I have something I cannot wait to share with you all. But let's get to this stuff right here.
Stitch became a member, 16 months rather. Glad that you folks are all okay and in your homes. Yes, thank you, Stitch.
Badger, are you? I really can hear it now. You're like stuffed up.
Oh no, it killed me. The 2 days of like horrible air quality. Yeah, I'm getting better though. But yeah, no, I'm like in Long Beach, so I can't imagine if like Dante actually being there in the heart of it. Yeah. Dwarves are people for 27 Swedish krona. Yes.
No, they're not.
He said it. He paid to say it. Jane Doe for 10. Mexican Iron Man feels society went to shit when women get bigger roles and voices in society. I'm sure that won't offend Nerd Cookies, My Nerdy Home, or any female anywhere.
No, honestly, I think they just hired the wrong women.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, Kathleen Kennedy's the wrong person. She's not a Star Wars fan, so she should not have been put in charge.
Leslie Headland, clearly the right person. Lord Comment for 5. Disavow. Random and unkind thought. Mayor Gavin needs his own Luigi. What you think, friends?
None of us can comment on this.
Yeah, we're gonna leave that one there. Thanks for the comment.
I wish nothing but good things for Gavin Newsom.
He's talking about Mario Brothers, of course.
Yeah, it's Mario Brothers.
Talking about
He wants
Mario
a
Brothers.
big brother, a little brother.
Yes,
that's all.
Forsky for 5. Just dropped a parody Deadpool Wolverine trailer with politicians called Republicans and Democrats. Hope y'all are staying safe in California. Evil Dead 2 or 1.
Forsky, let's see it.
1.
Send it to us.
Yeah,
One, yeah, and 1 to that one.
Arrakis Central for 5. I wonder if they will make Chani Sayadina in Messiah, like she was in the book.
We shall see. What do you think?
I doubt it at this point, but I think it's too late for that.
Graph Web for 2. Wish me luck on this one. Great Caesar's Ghost. Hashtag cancel Disney Plus. It's terrifying. Geek Truth 64 for 199. Hot take. Return is my favorite. The Empire is best.
I think it also depends on
Empire is best.
Your age when you discovered Star Wars. Totally respect that. I know people that was the first movie they saw was Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
And they went back and watched the other two. So,
but also you're wrong.
Yeah, but it's okay. I think it's okay.
But it's okay. It's okay to be wrong, but you're wrong.
I like the movie Logan's Run, which is a sci-fi movie set in a mall.
Yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, but I wouldn't compare that to Empire Strikes Back.
It's a great movie, a great score, great acting. It felt low budget when they were making it, but I still love that film.
Did you see that post? Someone says that whatever the top movie was when you were 10, that's what your year is going to be like.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
Mine would be Star Wars.
Oh, well, there you go.
Hey, by the way, I love the original Barbarella, but I'm not going to compare it to Empire Strikes Back. I mean,
by the way, someone in the chat said real Evil Dead fans know that Evil Dead 2 is better than 1. That is absolutely 100% hogwash. Because when Evil Dead came out, it was a revolutionary, indie, scrappy film that Stephen King was extolling the virtues of. And when you finally saw it, it delivered.
Yep.
Evil Dead 2 turned Evil Dead 1 into a joke.
I agree.
It's a good joke, but it's a joke.
Funny. It's good. Yeah, but no. Yeah.
It's double McShade for 50 Swedish krona. Streaming movies and music has its advantages, but you miss the gems that you would find when you search through record stores and video stores. I do miss Blockbuster and looking
I
through
agree with
like,
that
the
100%.
video jackets and stuff. Yeah. I do miss that. M for $2. Most crazy conspiracy y'all heard about the. You trying to get us demonetized?
And believe me, they're not conspiracies.
They're not conspiracy.
I
think arson was afoot at some of the fires.
It's not a conspiracy. It's just that incompetence kind of ruled the day here. You know, like that's really what it is.
Yeah, it just amazes me how people who don't live in California think we're crazy about all these conspiracies. It's
I
like
mean, I do think
you don't
there
live
was
in
some
California, you
arson
don't know.
But
Okay, I do have some other topics, but I want to talk about this because Rob is here and he may or may not know about this project. Superman Reborn was intended to be Superman 5 starring Christopher Reeve. It was a collaboration between the Salkinds Canon Films. The stipulation, Christopher Reeve wanted it to have the same production value as the first movie. He wanted a really good script, and they did finish the script with Chris committed to do the movie. Now, it eventually didn't get made, but recently, and we talked about this because they were giving away tickets, there was a public reading of the script at the Broadway Theater with a bunch of actors of Superman Reborn. I'm halfway through listening to it. It went public this morning at 4 a.m. I got an early link. It's 3 hours. This is riveting. I think it would be made better with sound design and music and a whole taking a script and turning it a great unmade script and doing an audio version of it. Anyways, this is so good. I'm halfway through. It's riveting. Martha Kent has a part in it. Lois Lane is leaving Superman and going to the LA Times on the West Coast because Superman is not as committed to her. He has his dual job. It's got so
Chris,
much.
Who wrote the script?
Was it Mark Jones and Carrie Bates or Gregory Priore or Jonathan Lemkin? Because I've got all 5 of those versions.
It's Mark Jones and Carrie Bates.
Okay, so it's the 92 script. Okay, cool.
Right. So story by Ilya Solkind, Mark Jones, and Carrie Bates. So they did this at a public. It is, I mean, again, no special effects, no sound, no sort of limited, if you hear someone clap, they clap. It's awesome. I really wish this had been made, but it brings up an opportunity. I'll play some of this for us here. It brings up an opportunity with the success of your project, Rob, that could this be an unmade script? Now there are rights issues, clearly.
Yeah.
But this really could be something.
Brandon Routh, Superman. Just saying.
And I wrote a book years ago. The original title of the book was The 100 Greatest Movies Never Made. I wrote it. It's the 50 greatest movies never made for St. Martin's Press. I'm not real proud of that book. I was writing another book at the time. But what's in there is a lot of great projects I would have liked to have seen. And what I've heard so far of this, it's fantastic. Some comments before I'll actually play some of it about this project.
Well, I mean, I think that people are asking in the chat if you could have AI do this. AI isn't nearly sophisticated enough to have people talking to each other.
We are honored
It's going to
be
get
here.
there, though.
Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, AI I think would be really tough. I think it'd be really tough. But
I'd rather hear actors do it.
Yeah, I'll play a little bit of this and I'll skip around, and then I want to hear your thoughts.
Here tonight, performing for the first time in public, the first draft of what would have been the 5th Christopher Reeve Superman film, Superman Reborn. Of course, produced by Ilya Salkind, story by Ilya Salkind, Mark Jones, and Carrie Bates, and screenplay by Mark Jones and Carrie Bates. Before we get started, I also want to thank, of course, the Kaplan Loring Foundation for the grant for us to do this evening. And of course, I want to remind you that we're also extremely honored to be partnered with the Christopher and Dana Reeve Foundation for Spinal Cord Injury Research. You'll notice in the back of your programs, there's a QR code. You don't have to do it now, but if you at some point would love to donate, we would love it if you would donate. Again, this is a free show, but this would be a great way to, as we hit the holiday season, scan the QR code. It's right in the back of your programs, and it'll take you right to a donation page. Also, for those who are watching after the fact at home, because we are recording tonight's performance, there will be a link to the donation page in the video description. That said, I'm going to ask.
All right, so there you go. It's what I really liked about it was the characterization of Brainiac. Brainiac is the main villain, and what he knows of Earth, he only knows of transmissions that come from Earth, old TV shows and movies. So he's constantly quoting old TV shows and movies where appropriate. So I don't know if you've read the script, Rob, or Script Doctor.
I have not.
I have, yeah. It was a pretty decent. I mean, from what I can remember, it's pretty decent. I've got the version from 92 and 3 versions from 95 and another one from 96. So they kind of all blur together. But it definitely, from what I can remember, it still captured the Christopher Reeve spirit of the character. And I think that was actually kind of one of the selling points of it. Because if you actually search a little bit deeper on YouTube, you will find Christopher Reeve, I think, at like a convention or at some sort of, he's on some sort of stage talking about this script and how excited he is to do this once they get that solid draft confirmed. And this was, I think, mere months before his accident.
It got very close. It got very close. And
yeah.
He was cool with like, look, I'm getting older, whatever. But he wanted to go up because the reaction to Superman 4 was not great. So he kind of wanted to go out on a high note.
I just watched them again, the 3rd one and the 4th one.
Yeah.
Holy hell.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, the
it's rough as an
quality
adult. Yeah.
was bad.
I didn't realize 2 was so bad too.
Oh, it breaks so much lore, but it's like, oh my god! But it's fine. It's fine. It's good.
2 is cheesy. The obviously the Donner cut.
The Donner cut.
And 2 is better. Yeah. But I'll skip ahead and go to some of this right here. Just
cups, okay?
Howard leaves. You got to watch Howard. The satanic cult he belongs to has a thing about
Wait, no, here
I'm not.
Degrees, and we realize Brainiac is using his magnetic boots to walk along a vertical tunnel wall, creating the illusion that his body is tilting horizontally.
You never told me, Cosmo.
We pull back to see Brainiac's arm hang vertically as he walks, and Cosmo helplessly dangles below the massive fist, hanging by stretching straps bound to the tunic of his.
I got you, babe.
It's Brainiac talking to Lois Lane.
Okay, just hold it right there, mister. What kind of girl do you think I am?
Impetuous, spirited, highly intelligent. I think I like you, Lois.
Oh, shit.
Brainiac takes a step back. One of the electrodes on his green scalp lights up. A white beam of light shoots down, forming an energy cone around her. Lois is trapped, pounds to get out, screams he cannot hear. A dramatic on Superman, anguish as he lands to see Lois trapped. Then the light cone vanishes, taking Lois with it. Her clothes float down to the ground in a pile. Skirt, shoes, blouse, bra, panties, big panties. Superman looks to Brainiac, back to Lois's clothes, and back to Brainiac again, rage building.
What did you do with Lois Lane?
Brainiac is fascinated by the Man of Steel.
A man who flies. You're not a character of fiction. You're real.
He approaches to have a closer look.
This is an honor, Superman. A genuine honor. I am Brainiac,
Superman takes a step forward, angry. Brainiac remains calm.
What did you do with her? The female is no longer your concern.
Everyone in this city is my concern.
Spoken like a true hero.
Why did you take Metropolis?
Brainiac slowly circles Superman, still intrigued.
You really have powers and abilities far beyond mortal men?
Suddenly, a white beam shoots out from Brainiac's scalp, engulfing Superman in a violent surge of flame. When the smoke clears, Superman remains standing unscathed.
Just checking.
Superman advances angrily.
I won Lois, Brainiac. No more games.
The game has just begun.
Superman grabs Brainiac by the throat, lifting him off the ground. Brainiac gurgles, squirms in Superman's grip. Even as he's choking, though, Brainiac manages a smile.
Go ahead. Make my day.
His force field flashes on and repels Superman, sprawling him onto the ground, dazed.
I'm impressed. My force field is usually fatal to the touch.
Superman gets up, grim, resolved. Police begin to arrive, taking up positions, keeping the crowd back.
You don't admit defeat easily.
Superman throws a sudden right cross. The force of the blow turns Brainiac's head to one side, but he remains unscathed, his hands on hips, as if mocking Superman's favorite pose.
I like that in an opponent.
Superman punches again. Strike two. Superman pummels him with a dizzying barrage of blurred multiple fists. A super speed onslaught of blows. The force field holds, and Brainiac laughs. Then lets loose with a powerful backswipe that sends Superman hurtling into a parked car, caving it in. Dazed a second time, Superman pulls himself up, lifts the patrol car over his head.
And strength. Such amazing strength.
Superman heaves the car. Brainiac sees the hurtling car as it strikes him and bounces off his force field, flipping end over end in spectacular fashion, shearing off a fire hydrant. Water gushes high into the air. People scatter. The water continues to rain down as Superman aims a blast of super freeze breath at the 20-foot geyser of water, freezing it into an ice sculpture.
Put back my city.
So I won't try. People are kind of saying, all right, we get it.
I'm not a fan of that Brainiac.
I put the link to this whole video is I put in the chat, but it'll be in the description for this episode here. But just your thoughts, and Rob, what about you taking on this or other similar projects?
Well, no, I mean, it's obviously, I'd never made an audio drama before, but people seem to like, I mean, my approach was to cinema but without the pictures. And you know, if you had, what you really need is you really need great actors, and that was what you have to have great actors. And our sound design team is terrific, but it's not cheap. You know, we're not doing this for shits and giggles. It's something that we had to budget, and we had to, you know, all of our actors are SAG actors, and but it would be fun to do something like this. Although, in order to pay it back, you'd have to have the rights to do it. So it would have to be, you know, there's a great Batman audio drama that David Gore wrote called Batman Unburied that has an incredible cast. And it was one of the things that I was listening to before I started True Noir. And David Gore, who worked on Nolan's Batman trilogy, wrote it. And it's pretty great. And if you want to hear what a superhero story can be in that form, there's been a lot, but this one in particular is very good.
Yeah. Well, I'm just sort of selfishly on my part. I wanted to see what your thoughts were, and also want to get the word out. It only went live this morning, and I think it's really well worth it. You know, with the Super/Man documentary that hit last year, which I don't know how many of you saw that documentary. So well done. And this was done with the blessing of his family, this event. So I think maybe as a fundraiser, but you're right. I mean, look, your production is beyond. I mean, you did everything but put picture to that, and sound design, mixing, good acting, music, sound effects. I mean, people don't realize or appreciate how much of an impact great sound design. You mentioned the Dune films having such amazing sound design and music that almost melded the music and the sound effects, actually became a whole thing unto itself. Like people underestimate how important that is to making things feel real. So
yeah, I mean, it's and it's been interesting working with, when you're doing audio dramas, you know, when someone walks into a room, you have to ask yourself, well, where's the door in the room? And where's the person sitting? Like, you don't, because there's nothing there. And that's been a challenge. I mean, how long does it take somebody to walk across the room before it gets boring?
Right.
Something else, you know.
Also, what is that gives you the spatial, really good audio drama like yours? You know where you are, even in the room, the distance to the subjects, like or their distance from each other can be heard. It's so many
100%.
subtleties, so many subtleties. Can people still buy your your True Noir? Can they?
Oh yeah, no, please, everybody go. You can get it at truenoir.co. Yeah, we're only on. It's a 10-episode audio drama, and only the first 4 episodes have dropped, and you can subscribe to it. The whole thing is $29.95, or you can, if you don't want to sample the whole thing yet, you can listen to Act 1, which is the first 90 minutes, and that's episodes 1, 2, and 3. So, and then hopefully, if it does well, we're going to do another one. We're going to adapt the next 2 books.
Well,
series.
In addition to that, I'm saying there may be other opportunities out there, and I hope you.
Oh yeah, no, I've already been approached, and there's people that have talked about animating True Noir, and I'm like, that would be great. It would be
do Superman. Read between the lines. Chris wants you to do Superman.
Yeah, no, I mean, I would love doing a Superman. I mean, DC has done. There's been some really good DC audio dramas, and like I said, Batman Unburied has a great cast, and it's really well done.
I believe they're on Max, by the way. Those audio dramas of Batman. There's a couple of them.
Yeah, they're good. I mean, Batman, and it's they're doing a Harry Potter audio drama.
Oh, nice.
Which I can only imagine that's going to be incredible.
Oh, right. They're going to do the books, but it's going to be everyone will be voiced.
Yeah.
Amazon.
Alan, read the private chat. A little note for you.
And by the way, Chris, the star of my audio drama is Michael Rosenbaum, who played Lex Luthor for 7 seasons on Smallville.
The
and
chat
Wally
was
West Flash
talking about it.
Oh, really? And Wally West. That's right. He was
the best one is when he played in the animated, and he it's Lex Luthor going into the Flash's body, and he takes his mask off and he looks in the mirror and he goes, I have no idea who this is. Yeah, Michael's great.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. We do have other stories to talk about today.
Yep.
It's been a weird day and a weird weekend with everything that's going on. But I do want to share this, and I hope you do check out Superman Reborn. It's well worth it. Justine Bateman has been literally on fire in her critique of the governor and the mayor, and she has a lot to say on her Substack. I'm going to share the screen here with a story she wrote that relates to not only what we've been talking about and the fires, but to things we've been talking about in entertainment for a long time. It's called Box Checking Films, the pandering that sucked the air out of the room. This is from last year, December 14th, a story that she writes. And if you would actually, Badger, can you read that? Is it too?
Yeah, I see. No, it's fine. Much of film production over the past 10 to 15 years has gone the way of checking boxes in plot and casting. There has never been anything wrong with characters and/or plots that check those boxes. However, much of the box checking of the past decade has been done at the expense of actual good filmmaking, and that is unacceptable. Here are some of the various boxes: gay, Black, Asian, Hispanic, Middle Eastern, etc. Trans, gay relationship, trans relationship, interracial relationship, invisible disabilities that no one will try to fix, visible disabilities that they are upset about. Again, these are fine characteristics and or themes, but the films and series make 3 mistakes with them. 1, they focus on the obstacles instead of the drive to triumph. Audiences don't care to watch people wallow in what the character believes is their obstacle, but viewers can relate to the universal theme of triumphing, in spite of the odds against oneself. No audience wants to watch pity parties. 2, Many of these box checking films are simply not well done films. Any characters or themes are fine if the filmmaking is outstanding. This is not a mutually exclusive situation. And yet, many feel that the box checking is sufficient enough. It's not. You must also make a great film. And 3, another mistake that has been made is championing inadequate films or series because the filmmakers themselves checked boxes. This does the filmmaker a disservice, cheats the audience of a good film, and betrays the art of filmmaking. The focus should be on the art itself. The commitment to inclusion is implicit. If your film is outstanding, no one cares what kind of human container it came out of. A one-legged albino Eskimo with 2 gay mommies or a 67-year-old white male, it just doesn't matter. The audience doesn't care, and the resulting film doesn't care. Studios, streamers, award shows, and film festivals have all been guilty over the past decade of forcing a false inclusion. In an effort to insist that these institutions embrace all types of filmmakers and film themes and plots, they have fallen into a DEI trap of almost dismissing the quality of the film itself in favor of the quantity of boxes the film and or filmmakers check.
We might as well finish it off here.
Going to cite the Oscars here, but yeah, an example is the current application for the Oscar submission. It now incorporates a multi-page inquiry into race, background, and sexual preference of the cast, crew, and production staff. As a writer, director, and producer of my films, I find this disrespectful of not only the filmmaker who chose these hardworking people, but of those people themselves. Reduces everyone involved to the sum of parts that were not necessarily in their control: skin color, gender, sexual orientation. The inquiry does not ask about the sacrifices these people made over their lives to hone their skills, or the effort these people put into the submitted film, or the ways they went above and beyond to make that film better than it had to be. It's insulting and dismissive. It's the art that matters. It can come through anyone. One's talent was indiscriminate when it was assigned. It didn't care what the human container looked like. It was just planted and lives there. You're off base if you're just looking at the container.
Wow. Justine Bateman on point with what she's talking about. I want to get everyone's thoughts on this. We've seen, I mean, even with Elaine with Dune, Denis Villeneuve was told he had to race and or gender swap one of the characters, which became Dr. Kynes. I don't think it hurts the film at all. I don't think that actress was added or took away anything from it at all, but I thought Dune was fine that way, but he was forced to make that decision. So in any case, what does everyone think about this story?
Oh, I think I think what she's saying is great. And I think that it's bizarre to me that, having worked on films mostly at the indie level since the summer of 1989, I can tell you the thing about what's so strange to me about all of the arts have always attracted different kinds of people. Not your normal Midwest living at home and hearth and all that. It's always been people that ran away to the circus. That's what the arts are. And the arts have always had all different kinds of diversity within them. And this idea that we have to somehow, you're taking the arts and you're gonna now require people to check boxes. I mean, the arts are the one place where all kinds of marginalized people have been able to find work and express themselves since the dawn of man. And no one is ever being stopped from making a film. No one ever has. We have more technology now. People are carrying around 4K cameras in their pockets. Mm-hmm. And if you want to make a movie, no one is stopping you. And if you think about all the great indie films, even Chris, back in like the 60s and 70s, all the fringe stuff like the Kenneth Angers of the world, or, all the people that started out, no one stopped them.
Yep.
No one's ever stopped anyone from making a movie. The only thing that stops people from making movies is it's really hard to make a good one.
Right.
That's it. And there's a lot of look at the two brothers that ended up making that horror film Talk to Me. The Australian brothers that cut their teeth making Instagram and TikTok videos, and then they worked their way up to making a feature. No one is stopping anyone from making a movie. I've worked on many, many sets. I've never heard one person ever say, well, we're not going to hire that person because of whatever status they have.
Right.
I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's I don't know where this came from, but it had to have come from people that have never worked on movies before.
Yeah, it's just this obsession is recent. And by recent, I mean more than maybe probably 10, 15 years ago. This kind of came in. We've seen it. And one thing, it's like, look, it's one thing if box checking affects a movie, right? What I think it has an effect on society, but whatever. It's another thing if box checking affects an emergency that costs lives and property damage and destroys a city. So this article could be applied not just to films and media and TV and movies, it's to society as a whole. It's box checking has to go and be gone. And we've seen it now in real, we've seen real life consequences of what's happened. Movies, TV, fine, okay, no one's hurt, whatever. I would argue it's actually more important too, but it's also important. But what recent events have showed us, this is more important than ever to reject this ideology. Sorry, DA.
No, you good, man. No, it's exactly what you're talking about is the problem that now people don't actually have to be good at what it is they're supposed to be doing. They just have to check the right boxes. I just have to be, a black, female, lesbian, and I get the job. Instead of actually being the best person for the job, that's the problem with this is back in the day, you actually had to be good. You actually had to know what it is that you're doing. You actually had to be skilled. And now people are, not as skilled, and we're not seeing those skills being worked on and being developed. Rob just talked about filmmakers that had to grind their way up from making small, tiny videos and learning the craft of filmmaking and building upon every skill and learning from others and all of that sort of thing. That's what you need. You need more of that happening rather than people just standing on their diversity. Like diversity doesn't make you a good filmmaker just because you might have an idea. You might have a good idea for a film, but that doesn't mean you know how to make a good movie. None of that matters. So what we need are people that actually are skilled at the craft of filmmaking, making films, and they're the best person. And damn diversity, damn skin color, all of that doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, we need good storytellers.
It's time to ignore SDGs and checkboxing from the UN. I would say it's time to ignore it and go back to meritocracy instead of applying to sustainable development goals from the fucking United Nations, which is the explanation for why it's across the board from tabletop Dungeons and Dragons to the goddamn fire department to the catering department.
And I've said this in the past, it actually works in reverse to what it is that they're trying to accomplish, because what they're trying to do is just give you a foot in the door. It's like, all right, you're black, you're a lesbian, that whatever, okay? You get access to the room. Now we're going to open the door for you. Go ahead and make your film. But if this person is not a good filmmaker because they haven't cut their teeth through years and years of developing their skills, it doesn't matter. You end up setting this person up for failure at the end of the day because you gave them an opportunity and then they fell on their face because they're really not good filmmakers because they've just been getting along all this time with their skin color and with the fact that they're a black woman or whatever. You've just been getting pushed forward instead of actually having to be good. Meanwhile, what ends up happening is actually the folks that you're marginalizing are let's say the white, male, and pale filmmakers. They have nothing to stand on except I just got to be good. I don't have my skin color to stand on. I don't have any diversity checkboxes that I can stand on. The only thing I can be is better than all the other filmmakers out there, better than everybody else out there, whereas acting, writing, directing, you name it. That's the only thing they have left. And so what ends up happening is they become the better filmmakers. And then everybody's like scratching their heads like, well, why are these guys getting nominated for all the Oscars and all of this and that? And it's like, well, it's because you guys keep setting everybody else back. Make them have to go through the same grind that these other filmmakers have to go through. Make them do exactly what everybody else does. That's meritocracy. And then you'll get the best out of everybody instead of just pushing people to the front of the line because, you got the right skin color and you check the right boxes for us.
But I think we also have to put the blame where it belongs, man. I mean, we keep talking about the filmmaker here. These are the studios making these decisions. These are the assholes, in suits who have zero talent, who are cowards, by the way, who are making these kind of decisions for the filmmaker. Yeah, we could sit there and shit on the filmmaker and say, oh, you should have been a better director and you should have cast better people. It's not up to the directors. Like 90% of the time, it's not up to the directors. Unless your last name is Nolan or some other huge name, you don't get a choice in who the studio chooses to be in your film. And that's what sucks. And that's where really all the blame should be. It's on these studios. Because if you're an indie filmmaker, guess what? You're making the film that you want. You are casting the people you want because you're the one in charge. You are an indie filmmaker. You don't have a studio that you're adhering to. So it's not necessarily the filmmaker's decision. It's the studios who we should be looking at for this.
Yeah, well, the studios figured out the new plan of how do you control the director? Well, you get them before they actually establish a name. And that's how you can manipulate them. Back in 08 and 09 is when I started hearing from marketing and execs about, oh, you don't have enough people of this ethnicity or this background in your story. And it's like, well, what does that have to do with this? Or this doesn't look like it's a movie that or a script that can be sold in China. Well, who the hell cares about China? Like, this is America that I was in. I don't care about that country. But this was something that was building up for a good decade before it actually like broke through and the rest of the public started figuring out what it was. And Dante is absolutely correct. It's corporate people that don't know how to make film, that know how to read spreadsheets, that are also very impatient, because what is more exciting and shiny than a brand new method of marketing a movie that has nothing to do with the movie at all, but definitely gets notice and attention from the trades? Because that is what makes Hollywood work, is you have to bring in something new. And when you don't have anyone creative bringing something new, you get desperate and you go to the low-hanging fruit of, well, since we can't come up with imaginative ideas for the stories we're telling, how about we look at the types of people that are making them? Because then we'll be able to say, okay, it's no longer just straight white men, it's women of color, it's men of color, it's men who transition to women, it's all these other things that have nothing to do with artistic integrity, but it's just something for them to talk about because they have nothing else on the docket to express what they're trying to do with the industry.
And going back to Chris's point real quick about it affecting everything, it's true, because I have several friends actually who are firefighters, and they told me that even before these fires, that adding women to the squad, that 90% of the time the men have to take up the slack for the women that are on the squad with them. 90% of the time they have to take up their slack, but they have to have these women on the squad not because of the fire chief, but because of the people above them are telling them that they have to do this, right? So, and also, if these firefighters, if these men speak up, their pensions are being threatened. So they're not allowed to speak up about the fact that they have to take up the slack for the females on the team.
Well, I think that's a great.
Lowered the standards.
You're talking about
female firefighters.
Physical activity. I mean, firefighters have to literally carry heavy hoses up staircases, and if you can on those tests, if you're being tested on your physicality to be a firefighter, if you can pass the test, you should become a firefighter no matter who you are, as long as you can pass those tests. But you shouldn't make exceptions for people that can't do the job because people's lives are at stake. And when it comes right down to it,
they changed the standards. They changed the standards, and that's the biggest problem. If they change the standards for firefighters so a woman can pass some of these tests, but it's like, well, I need somebody that can do the previous standards, because those are the standards that matter when there's a fire going on. And instead of some jackass on a video saying, well, you must have got yourself in the wrong position if you put yourself in a bad place since this firefighter can't carry a grown man out of a building. Like, that's BS, man. No, set the right standards and then you don't have these problems. Hey, can you carry this 250-pound man out of a building? Yes. Okay, you get the job. If you can't do it, we're not going to lower the standards down to 125 pounds. We're not doing it. All right, because there's a 250-pound man that's going to need to be rescued. So we need to make sure that you can handle the standards that we have set forth in society. This is what's proper. But because we got to check boxes and we got all this DEI bullshit, that's why we end up here. Because somebody feels marginalized or whatever.
I'll go one further. I'm not a woman. I'm not a small guy. I'm 5'10". Okay. Now, I'm not a woman. I can't do the job of firefighter.
Right. Exactly. I can't either.
Job.
There
was an incident at my apartment building one time. These firefighters showed up. They were all 6'4". They were all like, wow, you must have played football in high school. These were big dudes that all came here. They're carrying this heavy equipment. I could not do the job. I want people who can do the job. If they are a woman, fine. If they are gay, don't give a shit. But just have standards and don't lower the standards for
60
some weird
pounds
thing.
of gear.
Yeah, exactly. To make you
60,
feel good.
sometimes 100, man. Like
Yeah,
and
sometimes more. Yeah.
I can't do it. I can't do it. I want people who can do it.
that's the practicality of this. They got to carry 100 pounds worth of equipment on their backs at any given time. Okay, so they have to do that and then be able to carry my 220-pound ass out of a burning building. So that's 320 pounds. And you're telling me that some little woman could do that? Absolutely not.
Well, the strange thing about all this is that I understand the impulse is to allow people that don't necessarily get access to the opportunities to have access to the opportunities. I think that is a good thing. That is initially a good impulse. It is great to have, like, especially in the case of movie making, you want people that can make stories that we haven't heard before. You want people to bring unique ideas to the fore, which is great. And we should absolutely encourage people from all shapes, sizes, colors, creeds, whatever, to tell their stories. But the thing is, when you're dealing with movie making, especially, it's a commercial enterprise as much as it is an artistic enterprise, or it used to be. Now it's mostly commercial, but there's money involved. And, you know, when money is involved and you're spending, in the case of like what Marvel spent on, I can't wait to read the postmortems on Brave New World, the new Captain America movie, and what they were trying to do with that film and what was going on there. But, you know, at the end of the day, we're working in industries where money and there's a commercial aspect and people have to pull their weight. And the fact is, look, spiritually and personhood, we're all equal. Great, right? But all of us, every single one of us, have gifts that we have that are unique to us. Not everybody can do the same job. And all of this box checking assumes that everybody is exactly the same. They have the same abilities, so it really doesn't matter. We just want to hire more of these people. And what it doesn't take into consideration is people's talent and people's ability. And it's like box checking of any kind immediately reduces things into things that aren't pertinent to the very thing that you're trying to staff or whatever. It shouldn't matter who you are. If you're the best person for the job, you should get that job. Not because
right, but Rob, there's also jobs that, and we have to just be honest with ourselves, man, that only certain people can do, right? Like, I'm sorry,
that's what I mean.
When it comes to being a firefighter, a cop, any of those things, we've all seen videos even recently of guys who are getting arrested by women, female officers, and then pushing them away and running away and getting away from them because these women have no shot of stopping this man, right?
To be fair, when you add the Benny Hill theme, they're very funny.
They are funny. No, they are hilarious. I'll give you that.
They were also large and out of shape because I've seen some tight, tall women cops who have been able to take down or at least capture a guy with additional support. But those ones that you're describing, they never would have qualified police academy because they're just overweight, out of shape.
But see, but they are though. That they're
a
becoming
police
cops.
academy movie.
But
they would
sure,
They
exactly.
lowered the standards, right? They need to
when you
raise them
lower
up.
the standards, anyone can get hired, man. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not equipped to be a firefighter. Okay, I mean, I'm in decent shape for my age, but I can't do what they do, and I wouldn't even try.
By the way,
right?
Dante, they did the same thing with schools, right? George Carlin had those bits about like, they just lowered this passing grade, so everyone gets dumber. The collective IQ goes down because you do physically, and
you
it
get
worse.
When you stop holding people to high standards, you get worse. Okay, so all the people that they're trying to help, all the box checking that they're trying to do to get people's feet in the door so that they can perform and do whatever it is for these box checking films. This is how you get the American Society of Magical Negroes. That's how you get that movie. All right, because you let this dude just make whatever it is he wanted to make, and he made straight garbage. The acting is not good. It's the best part of it is some of the acting is David Alan Grier. He's great, but everything else in that movie is bad directing, bad writing, bad, you name it. That's how we get that trash, because you just allowed this dude to come in the door and just make whatever it is he wanted to make. There should be a standard. Like, no, your script got to meet this level. And if your script doesn't meet this level, I don't care what skin color you are. Your script doesn't at least get here. You're not getting this film made. I'm sorry. We're not doing this. But like you said, Dante, there's so many people in the higher ups that are just going to give him a pass and say, hey, man, you got to meet the check boxes. Did you meet the check boxes? Is he black? Is he Latino? Is he gay? Is he whatever? Okay, if he is, he's in. And they don't even have to be good.
And the problem with that too is like those people who make these decisions are the ones who rarely get the blame, right? Like the director will get the blame. The actors will get definitely the blame and the shit for it. But the people who make the decisions aren't the ones who get any shit for it.
And by the way, I would say like with Nia DaCosta, who did the Marvels, she got thrown under the bus.
Yep.
Yeah.
I actually think I watch. Look, I listened to the commentary for the Marvels with her. She actually knows what the hell she's doing. She was effed around with at Marvel. They kept her on a short leash.
They wouldn't let her in the editing suite to do
that
post.
movie. That movie was
Are you serious?
from the beginning, but
Actions
but
were
I actually
already
think
filmed. Yeah.
from watching the behind the scenes and listening to her talk, she knows what the hell she's doing. So
Remember
all
Bob Iger blamed and said there should have been more executives on set?
Yes,
Yeah.
ridiculous. All right. One last topic today. One last topic. And we'll keep it short here. This was an interesting story from I've never heard of this N+1 mag is a story about casual viewing. Why Netflix looks like that. And it's a very long story. We will put the link in the description, but there's a synopsis of the main takeaways from this story that I DM'd to Badger.
Yeah, I got you. You want me to
if you
read
would
them?
read it, because the ideas that could be pulled from this story are all, I mean, each point we could discuss, but if you would, Badger, just read each of those points that I sent you, because it's worth discussion here.
So, point 1, in researching this essay, I was told by sources about 2 high-level Netflix executives who have been known to greenlight projects without reading the scripts at all.
Are you surprised?
Not from Netflix, no.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Anyways, next point.
Yeah. A common note from company executives is have this character announce what they're doing so that viewers who have this program on in the background can follow along.
Now, other people have talked about that. It's like a radio play. You don't need to watch Netflix. And that's why we've talked about it here. Like movies, you can fold your laundry to. You can do some mundane household task while Netflix is on in the background. Disney Plus is even going to have channels dedicated to that. So anyways, moving on, the next point.
Number 3, keeping talent in the dark proved to be a useful negotiating tactic when the streamer reviewed a television show
renewed
a movie. Streamer renewed a television show. Yeah, that's why you see them getting canceled at like second and third seasons, and greenlighting sequels. Yeah.
Yeah. Next point.
That audiences clearly prefer the films of the past has been an inconvenient fact for the streamers who tout themselves as the future of entertainment.
See? Continue.
Yeah, and their own numbers reflect that we're watching things a decade old. Netflix designed its viewing experience to be totally unintentional.
That's one thing I don't like about Netflix. The user the whole way that it functions, the UI or whatever. It's like it automatically plays a trailer when I'm just stop for a second. I just want to see what's there. I don't want to. Anyways.
Well, to that end, such sleight of hand would be illegal in any other industry.
And the final point here.
If you drive through Culver City, you will see billboards for Amazon movies everywhere. Why? Because the directors who come to the studio lot to take a meeting there to make a movie, they drive around and they go, oh, they're marketing my movie, but they are not.
I know that's a fact that they will, all the studios do this. They will actually strategically put billboards and advertising so their talent sees it. So, what do we think about these points? Any commentary? Is anyone surprised?
The not reading the script at all is interesting. I would see perusing it, but you didn't read it at all? Damn.
You could read the coverage, right?
Yeah.
I mean, script.
Dude, most of them don't read the scripts, by the way. Most of these execs.
I'll tell you that
read a one pager.
I interviewed a producer who makes movies for Netflix, or his more popular movies go right to Netflix, and he gets notes from an algorithm that tells them, oh, hey, your movie should have a hoverboard in it, so put a hoverboard in it.
Oh, God.
So I mean, just and the result, I asked him, well, what is the result of all these notes they give you? He goes, well, my last movie was #1 for 7 weeks on Netflix.
Wow.
The other part too is Netflix actually foots the bill for the notes that they want in the project, and I learned that directly from one of my colleagues who I met with when I was down in LA. It's like they wanted to do this special effect, and they said, well, we don't have the money. And said Netflix said, no, we're paying for it, and then they did it. And that's also kind of eerie as well, because you're basically beholden to, oh, well, if Netflix is going to pay for it and I don't have to find the money, then yeah, I'm going to sacrifice the creative integrity to do that, because it's free money to go into the production. That's extra days that I can give myself, my crew, and my post-production team, and all that stuff. And it's really just not beneficial to engaging an audience at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, it's this algorithm they keep relying on that basically pitches them movies, and so they'll go out and find someone who'll make that movie. I mean, clearly they didn't read the script for Rebel Moon, but I'm sure the algorithm told them.
Right.
The problem with that, though, is that these algorithms don't understand the differences. Like if you're telling a story about, it doesn't understand where human emotion comes from. It doesn't. These things are, when you're talking about elements that are in movies, like, okay, Back to the Future 2 had a hoverboard, and that was a successful movie, so let's put a hoverboard in this film. It doesn't take into consideration what the story that you're trying to tell is, or what the actors, what the emotion of the scene is supposed to be. Algorithms don't work because they're all based on previously existing things, as opposed to being something that's new. No one ever got rich chasing a trend in Hollywood.
Yeah, but the scary thing is that the algorithm works. It does bring in the eyes. We can question the quality of what people are watching, but the reason Netflix relies on it is because it does work.
Well, it's because the people that work there don't know what works.
Yeah,
and that's the real problem.
It's irrelevant what people think. It's what the algorithm tells them.
Well, Netflix has actually spent almost a generation conditioning the audience to actually follow suit for that. I mean, the only outliers are basically the network shows that have not been on network for a while that got 7 to 10 seasons that people want to binge. Like that's basically it. And those types of shows can't compete with the new stuff that Netflix is doing, regardless of the algorithm.
And we also have to remember too that Netflix is a tech company. They're not a film studio. You know, their rules are very different, man. And I think Netflix is very good at what they do, even if what they do is shit. But they're good at it, right? Because people continue to subscribe, and honestly, they still lose less money than most of these studios do. So Netflix knows what they're doing, and whether we like it or not, whether it's, you know, something for the creative, probably not. But if you want just, you know, something to throw on in the background while you're doing work, or, you know, and every now and then they do have a decent show to watch. The thing is, I think Netflix is smart about how they do their business.
Yeah, Never forgiven them for canceling OA.
I could speak to that. I have a friend who works for Netflix on the technical side, and he rarely ever goes into Hollywood in the main office. He works at home, meaning that the technical side of Netflix has no contact with the creative side of Netflix. They are two separate business units within the company.
They also have a brand new feature that they've been doing, where in the old days you would write a one-pager coverage of the script to give to an executive. Now what they have is they have a whole team of people at Netflix who write a one-pager of coverage after they've watched the movie to feed into the algorithm. So they will write a one-pager summarizing a movie like Saving Private Ryan, and then they'll feed that into the algorithm so that they understand, oh, this is a Tom Hanks movie. Do we want to recommend Tom Hanks to this particular user, or do we want to recommend movies about World War II to this particular user? We will use a human's coverage of this movie in order to determine which it fits to each demographic. It's backwards, in my opinion.
Let's we're gonna have to wrap it up there, but I do have one thing I want to remind people of. This Wednesday, we are going to begin a new season of Critics Court with the trial of Star Trek. And here's a scene from The Undiscovered Country. You probably remember this.
Don't wait for the translation. Answer me now.
Yeah. Trials, oddly enough, there have been many trials in Star Trek history.
Next Generation Kangaroo Court's the best one.
I mean,
the World War III Court.
there are so many good ones.
court-martial from the first season.
All we're doing on Wednesday is we are coming up with the charges. You will all be invited at some point to come on the show. We need to come up with the charges. And not only that, once we come up with what the charges are, we are going to have it vetted with an attorney. So it's put in legal language, and we will share it with everyone. With our last trial, if you've not seen Star Wars on trial, Disney, Lucasfilm, were on trial for the murder of the Star Wars franchise. We are going to take it with that level of seriousness. My Q outfit is on the way. Alan will be dressed. I don't know. How's Alan going to be dressed?
I know. I need to pick up something.
He needs a Star Trek dress uniform. Could be a original series.
Something. Anyways,
something Troy would wear. Yes.
So what we need, we don't know when the actual trial will start. We need to come up with what the charges are, and they need to be real and provable. It needs to be in the form of a debate. So, one side can take one side. People can take either side of the issue and debate the issue. So I'm very excited. Alan could be Guinan. So, but it should be, I want the charges to be written in a way that anyone can simply understand them. So that starts on Wednesday with my Q. I don't know if it'll arrive. We'll see if it arrives. So there you go. All right, that is going to wrap it up, but we do have some final supers. So let's get to those.
Force Geek for 2. How do I send the video? Won't let me post links. You should probably just tag them on.
Go
Twitter
to
next time.
film. Yeah, tag me on Twitter. I'm that Chris Gore, or go to filmthreat.com. Click on contact.
Lord Comment for 2. It's called accountability.
Well, there you go. And last comment. For some reason, I can't put the last comment. Alan, something's wrong with my computer.
Marin, introduce me to these execs. Yeah, for 5. Introduce me to these execs. They haven't gotten back to me about Unexpecteds. By the way, has anyone seen the Sinners trailer? Looks amazing.
Yeah, that's Ryan Coogler's new movie.
Yeah, it looks good. It looks really good. And I hear that Michael B. Jordan plays twins. Did you hear that?
No, I don't know. That sounds good to me, though.
He plays twins. So
another role for a black actor gone.
What? He plays two people in the movie.
Yeah, but someone else could have played the other twin.
Yeah.
Someone else could have played his twin.
Famine mentality.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna leave it there. Thanks to everyone. Thank you for coming on. Thanks to everyone who left their super chat.
Happy birthday, Robert. It's really nice of you to come on.
Happy birthday, Rob. All right, everybody, plug your channel and we'll get out of here.
Oh, yeah. So you can find me over on youtube.com/scriptdoctor, where this weekend on Saturday, I'll do Scripts on Saturdays, where we will be reviewing the movie Howl, about a famous actor on a late night television show who claims that he's going to turn into a werewolf on live TV. So check us out that Saturday. This script is circulating around Hollywood, and maybe it might get produced this year or next. We don't know, but come get a sneak preview of what that story is like over on my channel at Script Doctor at /YouTube/Script Doctor.
Thanks, Script.
Hello. Yeah, you can find me here on YouTube at Nerd Cookies, where I cover sci-fi and fantasy news and lore. I have some more Dune news coverage coming soon, and also plan on ramping up some coverage of the Project Hail Mary film adaptation that's coming up. I'm super excited about that, and I'll be streaming this week sometime soon. So you can follow me on Twitter at Nerd Cookies as well for updates. Thanks again.
Yeah, guys. Sorry about that. I was about to. Anyway. Yeah, Verbal Riot, guys. You can find me here on YouTube. I have a show coming up this Wednesday with George the Giant Slayer from Slayer Nation. We're going to be talking about the fire, politics, Trump, all that good stuff. So catch me there.
Rob Burnett from the Burnett Work over on YouTube. I've got my audio drama we talked a little bit about today called True Noir, The Assassination of Anton Cermak. Episode 4 just dropped. You can subscribe to it. It's 10 chapters long. Subscribe to it at truenoir.co.
Nice. Derek Anderson, the DA. We do nightcaps every Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday. So looking forward to that. And then daily videos. You know what we do. Thanks once again, Chris. I appreciate you, brother.
Good hanging out.
Badgercast coming over now in 30 minutes. I put the link in the private chat if you want to put it in chat. And I see we have from Oliver LaFerry Farag for $2. Quickly, happy birthday, Robert. Oh, that's nice. Happy birthday.
Thanks,
yeah,
Oliver.
Badgercast, 30 minutes.
That's great. All right. Well, we are going to leave it there. Wait, I forgot someone.
Yeah, I have seen Section 31, and we'll talk about it Wednesday.
Ooh.
Wednesday, we are going to get Alan's review of Section 31.
Well, my social reaction.
Your social reaction review of Section 31. We'll talk on Wednesday. All right. Thank you, everybody. Stay safe out there. I know it's crazy. And Alan, do you have something to say? Or
yeah, let's get out of here.
All right.